Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Real Think Vlog. My name is Andrew Sparks, and as always, I'm here to share with you my passion for philosophy, to show how philosophers from all ages and all countries can provide wisdom that applies to us in our everyday lives, even right here, right now in 2015. So, I'm going to keep today's episode pretty short and sweet. I just want to get a quick episode up before Christmas time, because I know probably lots of people are going to be busy, including myself, so I want to make sure I stay on track here. And today's episode, I'm going to go back to Seneca and the series of letters that are compiled by Penguin Publishers, called On the Shortness of Life. And up until now, I've been going through Seneca's letter to his friend, Serenus, but today I'm going to move on to the second out of these three letters, and this is a letter that Seneca was writing to Helvia, his mom, and Seneca's situation in this case is he's exiled, which back in ancient Roman times was a pretty serious sentence, because there's a certain element of shame that comes to it. This is before email and text messaging, so it's not like he could talk to his friends that much or conduct business at all. So once you were exiled back then, it was a big deal. A lot of times it came with poverty, it came with shame, it came with a whole bunch of stuff that obviously people want to avoid, and especially if you come from a really high place in society like Seneca, very influential person. To be exiled was a really tough sentence for him, but he handles it okay. And this letter is a consolation to his mom, where he's basically saying, hey, it's not so bad. Exile isn't as bad as everyone makes it out to be. There's a lot of silver linings. So it's a very interesting letter. If times are tough for you, I would recommend giving it a read. It's maybe 20 to 30 pages long and goes by pretty quickly, and he does a really good job of not feeling sorry for himself, which I know is something that a lot of people, myself included, can fall into. And the lesson I wanted to share with you today, again, I just want to keep it short and sweet, but it's a really cool nugget of information that Seneca provides, where he's saying that exile comes with shame and poverty, and you don't know anyone, and it's tough, and all these things are hitting him all at once. And he's also saying that it's not so bad, though, because he realizes that there's a lot of things that he thought were essential to life and to happiness that are actually not essential to happiness. Things like big banquets, large houses, all sorts of things like that, jewelry, I don't know, whatever the Romans were up to back then. And he's saying, one thing I realized is that if you give yourself time and space to build virtue within yourself, that virtue is all-encompassing, and it helps to build virtue in other areas of your life, and it provides defense against a vice here, and a vice here, and vice, and vice, and vice, and all these vices that people find themselves drawn to. If they can find that one little kernel of self-control and self-discipline and self-reliance, and allow that to build and to flourish, and they kind of master one virtue, then before they know it, they can master all sorts of things. So that's just a quick piece of information I wanted to offer to you guys. And I'll read the quote from you directly from Seneca, just to let you know exactly what he's saying, because he probably says it much better than I can. And he says, "In answer to this man who aims to frighten me by an accumulation of ills, this must be said." So in other words, all these bad things are happening to me, but here's what I'd have to say to answer that. If you have strength to tackle any one aspect of misfortune, you can tackle all. When once virtue has toughened the mind, it renders it invulnerable on every side. And from there he goes on to talk about conquering fear, conquering greed, conquering all these things that saddle down a lot of people. And he says, look, it's tough. It's really tough, especially if you're facing all these things at once, as oftentimes one misfortune leads to another. But look, just hang in there, find strength, and apply your self-discipline and your self-reliance very specifically and powerfully. And before you know it, you find yourself in control of a very meaningful and rich life. And rich in all aspects, not just wealth, but health, happiness, strong relationships, all those things that lead to a great life. So as you think about New Year's resolutions, maybe think about that. Maybe, I know one thing for me, it's just trying to exercise my self-control a little bit more. And I think once I get that mechanism taken care of, then it will pay dividends in all sorts of areas of my life. So remember, Seneca is right there with us. Every person from every time has their struggles and has the things that they want to improve on. And Seneca, thankfully, has shared his with us so we can learn from them. And just remember, if you can tackle one aspect of misfortune, you can tackle all of them. So, again, this is Andrew Sparks with another episode of Real Think Vlog. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.